Hi, Dr. Holcomb. So I'd like to start this assignment off by talking about what I feel the purpose of music education is. And that's kind of a big question. I sat down and thought about it a lot. And I think the real purpose of music education is to teach our kids the fundamentals of music, both in theory and in practice, but also to show them how music has such a huge connection in our world and how that music connects us both within the classroom and with musicians across the world and lets us see the world in a whole new light and lets you experience everything in a different way and how you can find music in any place no matter where you go. And I think that if I could let my students leave my classroom with anything, it would be the feeling that music is everywhere and that you can always find it no matter where you go, and that music is something that can connect you to anyone and across any boundaries, speak through any language, that music is a connection and more than just something beautiful and amazing and technical and constructed. It's something that brings us all together and gives you a sense of community, which is what you find here in Westminster and I found back in my high school. And I'd like to talk about how I would take my children to that place. I think that an effective classroom setting, regardless of what age, you have to establish a nurturing environment, and you have to establish an environment where you're not just singling them out one-on-one. I think there should be assessment, of course, there should be individual growth, and I'm looking to cater to every student, but I think that there should be a big sense of community and that you're not just working alone, because yes, many musicians can do that and thrive on their own, and when you go into the practice room you have to be there by yourself, but when you're in the classroom, I think that everyone needs to be learning together rather than just on their own. And learning with people helps you to learn in such a different and diverse way, because you're not just learning through your own spectrum, but you get to see how other kids are going to learn too and consider their opinions and their ideas. Even if you're not, as a teacher, pointing out that that's what's happening, that's happening on a subconscious level, and they're learning in a completely different way than what they normally would, and they have to consider the ideas that someone else has to present. So I think I would develop my classroom in a manner where we would focus more, not just, I would want to have individual assessment, but I would also want to have a lot of group activities, things where maybe you split up the kids into 3 groups. I want to always incorporate the idea of community and working together. And that's not to say that I won't also involve testing and things that require me to check their musicianship and to check that they're practicing. I think that's important, but I think they should all be learning how to work as a group and also learning how to learn together. Because learning together, you learn so much more than learning on your own. And I feel that helping to establish that sense of community and working together really thrives in a setting where you're working with a lot of hands-on type instruments involving, especially, I love the idea of involving Orff instruments or things where the kids can actually touch something, or games or ideas where they're moving around and they're engaged in something. Not that I would use that every day, but I think especially incorporating this once a week, twice a week even, to keep them engaged and learning on a different level. I think when they're moving around together, adding different parts to a song, being creative together but with their hands, they get a sense of working together as a team, as a unit. And a lot of that hands-on type learning helps them to engage in a different way rather than just on paper or copying things down. I'm trying to appeal to them in a kinesthetic kind of way and to show them that movement also incorporates into music. And I think that's a big way to help your students to be engaged, because I know that music education, especially if you just focus on theory or music history, can be hard to grasp and hard to focus on, and sometimes can go in one ear and out the other. And I think that involving it in a manner where they're using their hands or moving around, they do that every day, so it's something they're so used to, and incorporating something so different as music or a song, teaching them how to do syncopated rhythms, for instance, by stepping, or trying to show them the division of a beat by having them clap it out, or showing them by they have to play it on some sort of instrument or on the piano, or they're going to clap to each other, they're going to stomp it, they're going to walk it. It helps them to incorporate music into their life. And when you each have that, you're all connected. And it's not just the way you learn it yourself. You're learning it the same way other people are learning it. And you're getting it in your body, and you're getting it in your hands and your mind and yourself. And you know that other people are the same way. And that builds even more of a connection. And once I've established that sense of connection and community, I want to start to take these students to a place where they can not only see the connection to our world from music and where it is everywhere in our lives. Not only will they see it when I put it in front of them, but I want to get them to a place where they can find that on their own, and where they can experience that and see it for themselves and revel in that amazing feeling that music is everywhere. And I think that's how my idea of what the student to teacher relationship should be. I want to get my students to a place where they're not just learning what I teach them, and they're not just listening to what I say. I want them to start to question things and to start to look for answers on their own. I want to be able to give them time when I ask them a question to find that answer on their own before I give it to them. I want them to, if I tell them to try and figure something out, I want them to try, and I want them to try and learn, because that's how they're really going to learn, is when they figure it out on their own. If I just talk to them and I give them all the answers, they're never going to be satisfied, and they're never really going to get that education out of what I'm trying to teach them. They're just going to hear what I say, and you can learn that and study it, but it's really not going to stay with you until you personally have learned it. And I believe that my job as a teacher will be to sort of guide them along as to what they need to know, teach them the basics of music, the theory of what they need to know to see this music in our lives and to recognize it and to really understand it and enjoy it. But I want them to start to learn how to find that on their own, and I want to take them there by slowly giving them more independence and showing them that it's okay to try and find things on their own, and that they really can find the answers on their own, and that they can be independent. And I'm going to be there to give them the answer if they need it from me, but I want to help them get there on their own too. I want them to find that and feel the amazing joy that comes with, like, the accomplishment that comes with getting that answer right and figuring something out just by yourself, trying to find a complicated rhythm, and me giving it to them and saying, why don't you try this? And if they actually get it, or even get half of it, the sense of accomplishment that comes with that is so rewarding to a student, more so than if I just taught them. If I just teach them, yes, they're still, oh yeah, they're still like, yeah, I got it, but if they can get it on their own, it makes them feel like such more of a musician, and that they can do that, and they feel empowered, and I want to give that to them. I want them to have the empowerment and the entitlement to be able to find these things and to know that they can do it on their own and to learn it on their own. I think that's the greatest gift I could give to these children, and I think that they could use that in the future, not just in music, because I do want them to leave being able to find that music anywhere, to make that connection and to see the music in our lives and to love how that feels, but also that sense of independence and that drive that they're going to get by wanting to succeed on their own. they can take that further in life, and I'm teaching them more than just music. I'm teaching them how to better themselves in life and how to get what they want. They have to work for it, and that's in and out of the practice room, that's in and out of the classroom, and I feel like they would learn that from the way I'm teaching them, and I think that's more rewarding than anything else. That's what I see my music education philosophy as at this point, as myself trying to teach them the fundamentals of music, but also showing them that connection to our lives and helping them to find that on their own in the classroom and out of the classroom, and to also establish that sense of community that helps to nurture them and help them learn in a place where they're comfortable to learn, and to become comfortable with trying to find things on their own and not thinking they're going to be ostracized or teased for it, but they're rather going to be commended for whatever they come up with, whether it's right or wrong. They're going to be commended because they tried, because they have that sense of community, and they're going to be able to slowly grow and find things on their own and make those connections, and then someday leave my classroom being able to find all of that in life, both in music and out of music.